Well, there's more students coming. So thank you guys for visiting us, for presenting the IMA and the CMA chapter Switzerland. Well, Valentin, the floor is yours. Of you will introduce yourself. Thank you very much for coming. I'm not stealing
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you for inviting us, Professor. So, hello everyone, and good morning in your into your humble abodes. My name is Bernardin General Lau, and I represent IMA, the Institute of Management Accountants. I am Director for Regional Partner Relations, and part of my responsibility is to ensure that academics and as well students and CMA candidates are aware of what the CMA entails and what values that could bring to their professional careers. I'm just gonna start with the presentation. We have a few things to talk about, but mainly we'll talk about the CMA, Certified Management Accountant. And before that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the IMA, the Institute of Management Accountants. If you were already on the call prior to the start of the class, you noticed that we also have the IMA Switzerland chapter leader, chapter president on the line, who happens to be a CMA and a CACA. And I'll be asking him some questions later on about his experience as a CMA and what values it has brought to him. And then all the students will have the possibility to ask direct questions to Hesselbrauer as well. Also, feel free to just interrupt me if there's a slide that you have a question on. I felt that that has worked in several presentations. So first, I'm going to talk about the IMA, which is the Institute of Management Accountants. We were founded over 100 years ago, and our primary objective is for our members to continuously develop themselves professionally and strengthen their organizations. And in addition to the CMA, we and continuing education, we actually value advancing the profession through research and advocacy and of the highest ethical business standards. So as you can see there are our business offices all over the world. I am located in Zurich, and I am basically covering all of the DACH region and the neighboring countries too. These are the partnerships that we have, and some of these may have shown up in your studies by means of thought leadership, literature, case studies, etc. In Europe, we mostly work with the ICV, the IGC, or the ICV is the International Association of Controllers. We have the International Group for Controlling, who Professor Dr. Klaus Merle from the University of St.Gallen is also a member of the board. We work a lot with Deloitte, the ACCA and some research studies, the AAA, American Accounting Association, and of course, Robert Half and Controller Institute in Vienna. This is how we support the profession. I will get into the certifications in much more detailed, the CMA certification in much more detail later. We also have another certification, it's called the CSCA, which is the Certificate in Strategic and Competitive Analysis. This is only available for current CMA holders, so this is something that you can look into achieving once you already have the CMA. We have tons and tons of continuous education opportunities. So we have over 500 webinars available. We have webinars on demand. We have podcasts. We have bits and pieces. Going into the Tech and Analytics Center, we have right now actually lots of resources available. In terms of soft skills development, this is something that Hessel will go into a little bit later. We have a leadership academy. You can enhance your soft skills by volunteering for the chapter as well. We have dozens of events once we are allowed to have events again all over the world, in Switzerland, in Europe, and global. In terms of research and publications, we have the Strategic Finance Magazine, we have a Management Accountant Quarterly, which is published by academics for academics, and also for Professor Flinsbach, we have some educational case journals which you could look into as well. We have, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, made free access available to everyone. not necessarily just IMA members. So until June 30th, the disruption brought by the COVID-19 still persists. So in order to stay productive and help finance and accounting professionals, we have ensured that we can still give value to the larger community. And I highly encourage all of you to look at the CMA resources and the IMA resources. I have already included the link. So this presentation I will also forward to Professor Flinsbach in order to, so that you can download it. There are already links embedded in the presentation and you can easily just get to those. We have a lot of webinars just upcoming right now. We have digital transformation webinars beyond financial management. For everyone in this class, I highly encourage to look at the CMA resources, so test taking tips and strategies, and feel free to browse through the course catalog and see how you can enhance your knowledge on certain topics, especially when it comes to tech and analytics. So please do register for that. This is CAREERDRIVER, also a tool that is available within the 90-day free access period, and it's usually an exclusive IMA member benefit, and it offers career planning in 3 important areas. So it starts with a self-assessment, how you can assess your current competency skills based on the job role, and you can receive a report on the current strengths and areas for improvement. After that, you then create a personalized development plan, which addresses those areas of improvement, and it taps into over 1,000 different learning resources that members can select from to address the skills gaps. This talks about research, courses, articles, tips on outside links, and job tips, and outside links that go beyond IMA resources. Certificates that are not related to IMA, or publications that can be easily purchased off Amazon. So I highly encourage you to do this. It covers basically, it covers up to 46 positions that are aligned with the area of management and accounting, anywhere from staff accountant to CFO. You plan, or you do the self-assessment, and then you can basically plan to where you want to be and how you're going to get there. This is part of our publication. So you see here the screenshot of the strategic finance, which comes out on a monthly basis. This is the August edition, which is always focused on the academics. So this one was from last August, and it talks about dual certification and how to add data analytics into accounting. This is available as a soft copy. All you got to do is go online and go to our website to look at the strategic finance, but I highly encourage you to look at that as well. The Management Accounting Quarterly, we call it MAC for short. It's an online journal on critical topics affecting the profession. Some of the subjects that are covered there are cost management, accounting techniques, ABC, ABM, RCA, statistical process controls, target costing, theory of constraints methods, and so on and so forth. So if that is part of your interest and of your research, feel free to look at those topics as well. And for Professor Flinsbach, yeah, we do have the IMA Educational Case Journal. So if you need some inspiration on how to design some topics for the students in this course or outside this course, feel free to look at that as well. Now we finally get to the CMA, the Certified Management Accountant. It's been around for nearly 50 years now, and it covers 12 core practice areas in management accounting. The CMA is earned through passing 2 rigorous exams, Part 1 and Part 2. And we have currently certified up to 80,000 CMAs, and there are currently over 80,000 CMA candidates in the program globally. So you basically are a CMA candidate already if you've registered to take the exam at some point. This is the Management Accounting Competency Framework. So this is based on job analyses conducted every 5 to 6 years to assess what management accountants need to do on the job and what they should be able to do. It identifies technical and soft core skills in order to succeed in management accounting, and lots of companies actually use this for their talent management and hiring and salary decisions. So you saw on one of the slides earlier, working together with Robert Half, they actually use this in order to ensure that if they're writing out a job description, that it fits within the management accounting competency framework. So this has just been updated, well, recent, but last year, so last January 2019, which also has a huge effect on the Certified Management Accountant CMA exam, both parts, and I'll get to that in now. So it consists of 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. As you can see, part 1 is on financial planning, performance, and analytics. Part 2 is on strategic financial management. Now, for any CMA whom you've met prior to January 2020, they have all done the CMA exams without the technology and analytics part. So this is new as of this year. And of course, we've adjusted the weightings of the certain categories to ensure that it aligns with the Management Accounting Competency Framework. Each exam is 4 hours long, so it's 100 multiple choice questions followed by 2 30-minute essay scenarios. You don't have to take them sequentially, so you don't have to do part 1 first and then part 2. You can do part 2 first and then part 1. So these are the competencies that are covered in each part. As you can see, part 1 is more focused on, in Europe, you say the controlling aspect of it, and part 2 is more on strategy. You'll need about 12 to 18 months to complete, on average, both exams successfully. The pass rate globally is at 48% for the CMA exam. So this is just another example of how we've aligned the CMA with future-ready competencies. You can see which parts are covered and in which part of the CMA exam they appear. So when it comes to strategy, planning, and performance, you can see different parts there. But just looking at the box leadership, that's something that we can't cover with future-ready competencies, but that is more covered with the global skills and global network and soft skills development part of being an IMA member. But everything else is more or less covered by the CMA. If you were still unsure what the difference is between management accounting and public accounting, this slide sums it up well, I think. So management accountants help create value rather than simply measure it, and public accountants focus on compliance. So if we just look at the relevant certifications for either of these, management accounting, you have, of course, a CMA, and for public accounting, you have the CPA. CMA is a global professional certification and focused on the future and supporting strategy, where the CPA is mostly granted by, the license for it is granted by a US state, and it's mainly focused on historical data and, of course, compliance. If you were still unsure who the CMA is for, you can look at this slide and it basically sums it up for you. So it's people, for professionals who want to differentiate themselves, for accountants who need more finance skills, and for finance experts who need more accounting skills. I mentioned already earlier that not only recruiting agencies, but companies use the CMA to as a benchmark when it comes to their talent management and talent development programs. Now we're going to do a pop quiz. Just joking. So this is the to show you some exam sample questions about the CMA. So if you remember correctly, there are 100 multiple choice questions, and you have 3 hours to complete the multiple choice section, which gives you, if you're a really fast calculator in your head, 1.8 minutes, so 1:48 per question on average. Now, This is one of the questions that you could see, but this is a sample question. As you can see, you should be able to answer this question really quickly. There are questions which you have to calculate. There are questions, such as the first one, there are questions in which you have to know the actual formula in your head. Oops, there you go. And there are questions where you are asked for, to calculate it based on the case that is given to you. So this is talking about incremental profit. I already know the answer, obviously, but as a CMA, you should be able to do this fairly quickly. This is just to show you one of the new questions that we have on there. As I mentioned, 15% of part 1 now includes technology and analytics. So this is focused on analytic tools, and this is also something that you should be able to master going into the CMA exam. 2 more questions focused on in the new tech and analytics section. This is focused on business intelligence and accounting information systems. Moving on to part 2. This is if you should be able to recommend an option to your line manager, and this is something that you should, with your preparation, be able to do fairly quickly as well. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not just calculation questions, but there are also some theory to it. And if you're really quick with the theory, then you shouldn't need 1.8 minutes to complete or to answer the question effectively. Now, in part 2, the changes that were made as of January 2020 was more weight on professional ethics, and that includes the topic of sustainability and corporate social responsibility, which is actually what the first question is about. The lower part of this is more focused on ethical decision making. So what would you do if you were in that position, for example? Good. You'll have all these questions available to you. I will send them all to Professor Flinsbach, as well as the learning outcome statement for the CMA, so you know exactly what to prepare for. I will just show you a quick video which summarizes how to become a CMA. And that should give you a fairly good overview, if I actually do it.
Are you considering joining the CMA program or already enrolled? If so, you probably have some questions about the exam and certification process. The most important thing to know is that with a plan in place, earning your CMA is completely manageable. You have 3 years to complete the 2 exams. But did you know that most candidates complete them in 12 to 18 months? Just imagine, 12 to 18 months from now, you could have your CMA and pursue exciting new career opportunities. Getting started is easy. Step 1. Enroll in the CMA program on the IMA website. You will need to join IMA as a member and purchase the CMA entrance fee. Step 2. Register for your first CMA exam and schedule the test right away so you have a concrete date to work toward. CMA exams are offered during 3 windows every year: January and February, May and June, September and October. You can take CMA Part 1 or Part 2 first, or both parts in the same window. Schedule your exams at the nearest Prometric testing center. Step 3. Study. This is the most important part of the process. We recommend 150 to 170 hours of study for each exam. Keep in mind, you don't have to study alone. You can take a CMA preparation course, which can easily connect you with other CMA candidates, or find study partners through work, your local IMA chapter, or the My IMA Network portal. Once you have a study plan in place, make sure you stick to it so you are ready to succeed on test day. After you have passed both exams, the last thing you need to do is verify you have met the necessary educational and work experience requirements. At that point, we will issue your certificate and you are ready to add CMA to your resume. So there you have it. Just follow the simple steps and remember, we are here to support you throughout your journey.
Well, none of you are studying alone because you're all on this class. So, and yeah. So the CMA, in order to become the CMA, you have to pass the 2 exam parts. Now, the CMA is one of the very few certifications that allow no exemptions whatsoever. So it doesn't matter if you have a doctorate from the University of St.Gallen. In order to be considered to be granted a CMA certification, you still need to pass both exams. In the history of the CMA exam, only one person has been granted the exemption to become a CMA, and that's the person who created the CMA exam. So other than that, you have to actually pass it. You need a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university. The University of St. Gallen, of course, covers that requirement. You need 2 years of relevant work experience. I get a lot of questions on that, so I will provide you in the CMA handbook. There's actually a listing of which work experience is qualified to do that, and you need active membership in the IMA. Now, with the exam testings, we have hundreds of computer testing facilities worldwide, depending on where you are from and where you prefer to take it. I think the testing center in Zurich will open as of June again, or will reopen as of June, but we do have one in Zurich in the area of Altstetten, I think. There are 3 exam testing windows offered each year: January, February, May, and June, September, and October. Now, in light of this current situation, any CMA candidate can actually, if you look at those, if you look at the slide, anytime between May and October should be able to take a test today. It's just basically one big testing window, because every country, and we have managed to adapt to regional restrictions. You know, every country is opening up at different times, or when in light of the current pandemic, they all have different regulations. So we've just made it so that the May and June testing window goes into July, and the September-October window includes August. These are the program fees. So as currently as a University of St. Gallen student, you get about a 31% discount, and all you gotta do is enter HSG19 at checkout, and you can see there. Once you are a professional, the annual membership fee is at $230 US dollars per year, which is a cost that any employer actually, I haven't heard of many in Europe who don't cover that as part of the continuous professional education requirement. Speaking of continuous professional education, I don't think I mentioned that. So once you complete the CMA, once you pass the CMA exams and you're granted the CMA certification, you must, on an annual basis, take up or gain up to 30 continuous professional education credits, and one CPE for short is about 50 minutes, and there are lots of opportunities how you can do that. As I mentioned, we have those webinars, some free, some paid. You have internal trainings at your organizations that are aligned with your job. You can get it by attending conferences which professionally develop your career. The chapter events that are being held in the area do account for those. So there are lots of opportunities for you to attain your annual requirement of 30 CPE credits per year, especially right now. Moving on to the CMA Scholarship Program. So IMA offers 10 scholarships per year at every university, which covers all costs related to the CMA program, aside from the materials. So this is available to all accounting and finance students. Now, for this course, I'm not necessarily, I'm not sure, Professor, how it was the structure for University of St. Gallen. There was a time when people actually, where students actually had to compete for this. So if anything, please refer to Professor Flinsbach or Professor Isbroch about that. Every university only has 10 allocated on an annual year. So you have 1 more month to be nominated or to apply for this. And you'll also get access to the Wiley CMA online test bank for both exams for up to 2 years. Looking at the courses, at the prices earlier, this sums up to about over $1,300 in value. I'm just looking at the time, so I'm gonna skip this video. These are the student membership benefits. So you can get valuable leadership experience. We have over 140,000 members. We have the IMA Student Leadership Conference, which takes place every year in the fall. This year it's taking place in Pittsburgh on November 14. Reduced membership and CMA fees, as already mentioned, but you should also look into the competition scholarships and award programs area to see how the IMA or how you would qualify for some type of grant or financial aid in your research topics. Now we get to the Q&A part of it. I would like to introduce you to the IMA Switzerland chapter president, Mr. Hessel Brouwer. This visual is actually from the LinkedIn posts that we've done just recently. I'm just going to ask Hessel a few questions. Fair disclosure is I have given him the questions in advance, but I don't know what he's going to answer. So I think it's only fair. After I've asked the questions, I will open it up to Q&A for the students. So feel free to ask me or Hessel or Professor Flinsbach any of the questions that you have. So Hessel, I'm going to ask you some questions about your education experience and background. I know you just completed another certification from IMA, but today we're going to talk about the CMA. So how did you learn about the CMA?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hi, Bernardin. Thanks for having me here. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Very good, very good. So how I heard about the CMA program, when I started my career, I started with Johnson & Johnson in the Financial Leadership Development Program, a traineeship that actually also quite some St. Gallen graduates started, so definitely an interesting program to check out. Johnson & Johnson, global medical company, an American company. They are very enthusiastic about the CMA program, and they encourage the young professionals to take the CMA. Actually, they even paid a little bonus when you pass the CMA exam, so that was an interesting incentive to do that. But actually, it was also very interesting after finishing university, going through all the theory, to go through all the materials once more while working. It was definitely a big benefit that I experienced to go through all the theory and then relate it to the real business practice. So since then, I've been very enthusiastic about this program.
Very good. Now you're talking about the business practices and relating theory to your job. So what does a management accountant actually do, in your opinion, from your experience?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to clarify it a little bit, because the word management accounting. So management accounting is a very well recognized field. You probably don't see many job descriptions as a management accountant. If you go now on the job market, you will not see a job posting for a management accountant. Mostly you'll see positions like financial analyst, accountant in different flavors, controller, business controller, those kind of roles. Actually, the job title, the role that I like most, that's definitely the most interesting role you can have as a management accountant from my point of view, is the finance business partner role. Let me quickly explain that. There's the financial accountants like Bernardin just explained, but there is within business, there's a lot of need for financial knowledge, but it needs to be linked to the business. We're talking about, let's say, an important business decision. Let's say your CEO or managing director is not interested in what does IFRS say. He just wants to know what is the right business decision. And that is where a finance business partner comes in. He or she can link finance theory, accounting, but also financial modeling, analysis, etc., with what the business actually needs. And for that, you need to know the business very well. You need to know the people. You need to be able to present very well. And as I said, I think this is the most interesting and most exciting part to be as a management accountant on this crossover between finance and the business.
Very good. Which advice do you have for the students on this call who are considering the CMA? Maybe tips and tricks for the exam?
So it's quite a long time ago that I took the exam. It was still 4 parts back then, and I did it next to my job, so I did it all in self-study. You are in a unique position where you get to learn all of the materials in the course, which is great. As far as I understand, it's still your own choice if you take the exam or not, or when you take it. So one thing is definitely, like they say in the video, just plan a date. So you have the pressure to actually do it. In the self-study materials, there's a lot of practice exam questions available. I don't know if those are available to you, but that has helped me to really get ready for the exam. So do the practice questions time and time again, and until you have a very good grade on the practice questions, you basically know that you're ready for the exam. If you take the exam as soon as possible, get it over with, or like I kind of said, you could do it 1 or 2 years into the job, so you can once again relate this theory to the practice. But also, if you take the exam right away, like Bernardin said, after you earn the CMA certification, you still need to gain those continuing education points. Sounds like an obligation, but actually I think that's one of the real added values of the CMA certification, because you can really prove that you keep your knowledge up to date. I think for most of you, being a St. Gallen student, the CMA exam is very doable, but keeping up to date on the current knowledge, that is what is going to be a real added value for the long term.
Thank you for that, Hassel. Just one more thing to add. It is, more recommendable or more advisable to do the CMA exam while you're a student. So and not wait until after you graduate, because you're still in that study mode, and it should definitely be easier for you to answer those questions and to just put your head down and put in 150 hours of study. Just one more question, Hassel, on your involvement as the IMA Switzerland chapter president. To the young professionals in this class, how could they possibly get more leadership experience at IMA?
Yeah, so first of all, again, I suppose many of you will relatively soon enter the job market. You will start most likely in a position where you are answering to a boss, and he'll make you sweat very much, and you might have the feeling that you don't have a lot of chance to grow your leadership skills, even though many of you will be ambitious and want to get to a leadership position as well. IMA offers the chances to gain leadership experience in a very safe environment. There are what IMA nicely calls, let's say, micro leadership experiences, where you can do small things. So people writing exam questions or helping out with specific tasks. But when you become a leader in a chapter, which is we're always open to people joining us who are enthusiastic to be involved. You can basically do what you want, as long as you bring the profession further. So, as an example, when I started quite early in my career with the Swiss chapter, I was the first person to make the chapter website. This was a quite easy thing that I was good at, so it was a very easy thing to contribute. Quite quickly later, I became the chapter auditor. I wrote the first audit report. I had no idea how an audit report should really look like, but I wrote one. After that, I became the treasurer. I set up the first accounting system for the chapter. Granted, it's 2 Excel sheets, one with the general ledger and one with the P&L. But hey, you know, it works and it's still being used today. Now, as the president, we're a club with over 250 members. We have a board of 8 people. I am the general manager. I need to do all the hiring. I'm always looking for new board members. I've worked together with my board member to set a whole strategy. So a whole strategic plan from the analysis to building the strategy and then implementing the strategy. But this is something we all will be involved in probably at some stage in our career. But I have actually a chance to do the whole thing from A to Z in an environment where quite fail-safe. So definitely an interesting way to gain some leadership skills outside of the workplace. I know that IMA even encourages students to set up student chapters. So if you want, you can basically show leadership today. And if you are interested in anything, feel free to reach out. I think Bernard can share also my contact details.
Yes, I will. All right. Those were all the questions that I had prepared for Hessel, and that concludes the presentation part of this session. Now, I would like to open the floor to questions, if there are any. Otherwise, feel free to shoot me an email or contact us through the regular social media channels, LinkedIn. Get connected with me if you want to find out more.
Okay. Thank both of you guys for the presentation and sharing your thoughts and opinion. To the students, please feel free to switch on your microphone and ask some questions, because I always get these emails about the exams and so on. Now you got really the experts in the room, because I can only answer about the HSG exam.
Yes.
Richard, please.
Yes, just a little question regarding, the CMA certification, not the exam per se. Once let's say you pass the 2 exams, how long is the window open to have these 2 years of work experience that you have to also have in order to have this whole CMA certification?
Good question. 7 years.
7 years.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and another question was regarding. I always saw that on our study page, there's a test center in Geneva. So there is also one in Zurich that we can.
That is now that's not been updated, so it's possible that that's not been shared with Professor Isbrook. The one in Geneva is currently undergoing a transition. But the one in Zurich is now open. So the Swiss candidates are actually encouraged to go to the one in Zurich, Munich, or Milan once everything is back to normal.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Further question, guys?
All right. Some questions will come up later.
Yeah, that's probably that's usually during class, because we're recording and nobody really wants to ask the question. So it's always pretty good, just good question, because what Richard actually said. Then that was kind of my mistake, because I always told them they had to go to Geneva. I didn't know about that. That it's now in Zurich. Yeah. So
yeah.
Okay, we will update this guys, and
I will send you the details to that.
Yeah, and Bernardine, as you said, both of you would be also available for answering questions afterward, because usually I know that when I was a student, usually questions pop up after such discussions. may they contact you directly by email?
Of course. So I will update the slide that had my contact details on it. I will also include Hessel's contact details, just so that you have both of our contact details. And you know, it's a very interlinked world, so I think that should be fairly doable.
So there's one last question from my side to Hessel. Was it worth it? For students, probably nobody wants that. It's a lot of slides, a lot of calculations. We do this 6 hours every week, and can tell it's quite a lot, even to me. Was it worth it?
It was absolutely worth it, and I can give one concrete example. So when I changed from Johnson & Johnson to Detweiler, I had an interview with the CFO of the business unit, and during the interview, he said, "Oh, you're a CMA. I'm also a CMA." You know, we talked a bit about that, and the interview after that was basically just kick the ball on the goal. So that's a very concrete example how this has helped me in my my career.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, everyone. Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Professor, I will now leave the meeting, and yeah, I look forward to staying connected. Everyone,
Yeah,
have
thank you
a
very
wonderful
much.
day, and good luck on your CMA journey.
See you. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.